Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is Jectives Typography News number 67. Today is Sunday, August 16th, 2026, and per usual, I have plenty of typography news for you. Three featured stories. We've got Stephen Cole's Playtype and Instagram, two upcoming events with Troughton, Kel, said your name right this time, Kel Troughton, Flavia Zimbardi, and then we've got 10, count them, 10 new releases: Typearture, Identity Letters, Sharp Type, Lipton Letter Designs, Metis Foundry. Actually, I think it's Metis Foundry. Not sure on that one. Metis Foundry, Commercial Type, F37 Foundry, and GD Foundry. And then I've got 582 videos to send you off with. One from Dalton Maag and 581 from It's Nice That. Today's episode is sponsored by FontBase, free font manager available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Deep dives. You might have noticed there are no deep dives listed in this episode. That is because I am spinning off deep dives into their own segment. Their own segment? No, they were a segment before. Spinning them off into standalone videos, rather. I think this will give me the ability to have a little bit more polish with the deep dives. Do them as standalone videos, upload them as real videos. I went back and forth with streaming versus videos. We'll see what I end up on. But one, this will give me more time to talk to designers. A lot of times I have critiques or questions after I do my testing, and I just kind of present that to you guys. But it would be nice to be able to send those over to designers and not have that like few days to like figure out everything. So that's nice. Similarly, there's less of a rush. So like, I need the time constraints, but at the same time, if I only have a week to do a deep dive on a font, then it doesn't really leave much wiggle room. Like if a new release doesn't get a deep dive the following week, it just never gets a deep dive. So with this newfound freedom, I am going to be able to do deep dives on typefaces that have not recent released. And I already have a couple of them in mind. I've already talked to some designers who had recent-ish releases, but never got deep dives. Or maybe they had updates that I didn't necessarily cover too much on the channel. Or maybe my number one font from last year will get a deep dive on the channel. But yeah, lastly, I think I'll just be able to make better thumbnails. You know, we can play the YouTube game a little bit because my typography news, you know, they're not those of you who hang out every single week, you know, you expect it, you know what the thumbnail is going to look like. But I think getting someone new to watch Jectives video or a typography video, it might be able to grow the audience a little bit with nice, neat little packaged thumbnails. Let's get into the featured stories for this week. First one here, Stephen Cole's. This is one that surprised me. I'm sorry, I'm getting my stuff set up here. I actually don't have anything to put on the screen. Wait, no, I lied, I do. I put a quote in Affinity. Let me switch screens real quick. Screen cap, there I am. I reached out to Stephen Cole's because I had heard from someone that he might be writing a new book. And this was our conversation. Short and sweet, to the point. This is me, Curtis Simpson. I've heard whisperings of a new book that you might be writing. Is there any truth to this? Stephen Cole's. Yes, I'm writing a book on the history of 20th century type as told through Letterform Archive's collection of specimens. We're in the editing phase now, and it will be published next spring. It's going to be a very big book. I hope it will also be good too. I have no doubt that this book is going to be good. You might see behind me right there, I've got Stephen Cole's book, The Anatomy of Type, which I also did a flip through on this channel of. It's been a while since I've done like a book review or a flip through on the channel, but you can believe next spring, day one, the second that this book lands on my doorstep, I'll be doing I'll be live streaming. Whatever's going on that day, I'll be live streaming. I'm really excited for this. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Stephen Cole's Letterform Archive, History of 20th Century Type. That's going to be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it should be out next spring. It seems like it's written. It says they're in the editing phase now. So that's really exciting. Next up, I thought that I was going to be doing a couple of other, how would you say this? Branding typography videos this week. I thought I'd be doing 7-Up, and I thought I'd be doing this one here. I cut 7-Up because Instagram decided to release a new brand identity. But I still wanted to show you this one real quick. This is coming from Playtype and E-Types. So E-Types is the studio, the brand studio for this one, but Playtype, who we've talked about on the channel several times, is the foundry that did the custom typeface for this. And at first I saw this 15 and I was like, why is this 15 turning into a K? It's because this is for a lottery. I don't know how to pronounce it. You could probably see it right here, but it's a lottery in Denmark. Some of you might have feelings about that, but I think that this typography is so good, and it's really cool to see foundries getting commissioned for custom type, regardless of what that is for. You can agree or disagree with lotteries, that's fine, but you cannot deny that this is some really cool typography. And I'm not sure if the animation here is, you can kind of see it squishing a little bit. I'm not sure if it's just squishing because of the animation or if they do actually have a condensed version of this. I reached out to Playtype to try and get a comment on this because I wanted to learn more. You can see, looks like they got some true italics on this. It's slightly. Some of you can see the K there. The Roman K is already a little bit italic with that bowl on the top of the K. But you can see the I and the E there swapping back and forth. So it looks like this is actually a variable for them as well, which is nice. I just think it looks really, really nice. I did look at the website. They're not really putting it to great use yet. They're using it, but it just looks fine. Also, you have to use a VPN and be in Denmark. And so it's not something I can show you right now on the show. I did take screenshots, but I just really don't think it's worth it. But yeah, I think this looks nice. It's called number 15, and I really like how, I don't know, I like the brush strokes of it. It just feels very traditional, but I don't know, it looks great. I'm not sure what typography looks like in Denmark. You know, the world's pretty globalized these days, so I can't imagine it's too much different from everywhere else. So I do think this kind of differentiates itself, and I don't know, surprisingly good typeface for a state-run lottery. And I really like the number 15. Apparently this is, 15 letters, 15 winners, and 15 million in winnings drawn on the 15th of every month. So 15 is a big thing for them, and it's really cool that they managed to pull the K and the 15 together for that. So really like that one. Didn't learn any more than you'll get from this Instagram link, but still a cool one to pay attention to, or at least, just to note, to clock, and move on from. Next up is the Instagram identity. Let me figure out which ones I want to click on here. I'm going to click on the main Meta press release. I've got about 30 links sitting over here in my Obsidian. I am not going to dwell on this one for too long because I think even in just the few days that this has been out, today's the 16th and this came out on the 13th, even in just 3 days that this came out, I think this is kind of getting done to death already. You've probably seen all the memes posted where every social media manager is remaking their company's logo in this new Instagram word mark. On the left, you've got the old one. On the right, you've got the new one. It is what it is. Did Instagram need a rebrand? I don't know, but it doesn't. I mean, think what you want to think. I don't know that they needed one, but I do like the old logo. I really do associate it with like 2016. I remember when the new logo came out. I remember when the icon switched, and I have fond memories of those Instagram days. If I'm being honest, Instagram used to be much better for me back then. I don't even have my personal Instagram anymore. But yeah, I don't know that this is the best word mark. But let me show you some of the other options real quick, and then I'll come back to this. This here, this is actually, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted because someone's screaming outside my window right now. Hopefully you guys can't hear that, but if you see my face right now, I'm trying to process two things at once here. This graphic is not by me. This is Instagram scrapped word marks, and these are organized by Ryan Selvey. If you go to Instagram, if you go to this, you'll be able to swipe through a few times and you can see some of their scrapped logos right here. So pretty sure he pulled those from there. But he's working on a video. So go subscribe to Ryan Selvey's YouTube channel. And he's working on a video with all of these. Let's see if I can tab out of this real quick. There we go. With all of these scrapped options. And he sent these over for me to look at. And I don't know if they're trolling us with these or what, but these are awful. Like, of course, out of these 32 options here, The one they chose is the best one, but some of these are just insane. I do not know what they were thinking. Ryan and I both agreed that number 20 here was pretty cool. I would like to see them, I would have liked to see this one refined and kind of seen them push in a completely different direction, differentiated from all of their competitors. I think they could have really done some cool stuff with that. But, when one of these big brands like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter X, when one of these places rebrands, like, it doesn't really matter because the identity isn't the brand. We have to remember to separate the visual identity from the brand. And Instagram is still the same brand in our brains that it was before. You're going to open up the app, you're going to swipe through it the same way. You're going to be mad that there's advertisements, the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. And it's still the same. Does the typography look nice? I don't know. It's a sans serif that's got a couple of script letters in it. And they're cutting off the R. It looks fine. Like when you scroll through your phone, like it's just at the top of the screen for a split second and it's gone. It really doesn't matter. Like, if I'm being honest, it really doesn't matter. Could they have done something more fun? Yeah, probably. What I am interested in this is something we're not actually going to be able to see today, but I'm going to show you this other article. It's from It's Nice That. It's really important to note here that It's Nice That does advertorial. Yeah, it looks like editorial, but it's actually advertising. And that's what this is. So I've gone ahead and linked this, but just understand that this article right here is meta advertising. It's not an actual article by a journalist. Let's just get that out there. And they've got this little in partnership with Meta over here. So that's how you know this is not journalism. This is marketing. That said, there are some nice insights in here, and there are some nice some nice imagery and stuff like that that you don't get from the press releases and that you don't get from the Instagram posts. So I think that the lower use of gradient and stuff is cool. I think that the new cream color is nice. I'm just going to do a quick search right here and look up Instagram sans. Okay, so here's what I wanted to point out. These typefaces are not finished, apparently, but they did upgrade Instagram Sans, which came out in 2022. And then they actually have a new typeface, Instagram Sans Mono. I have noticed a trend of monospace fonts. We'll talk about that another time. But I think if there's any trend right now, it's not serifs, it's monospace. But they're adding Instagram Sans Mono to their Instagram Sans, and then they're also adding Instagram Pen. We could probably just search for Pen. Well, we're getting a bunch of opened and stuff now. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. They're adding Instagram Pen, which Instagram Pen isn't as great as I would hope that it would be. Let's see if we can get a quick peek at it here. I took some screenshots during the members stream, but if we don't get it in like 3 seconds, then I'm gonna go ahead and leave. See this like circling they're doing on some of these words right here. So those circles are actually built into the font, and then there's like some underlines and arrows, but there's like a really bad handwriting font that's not finished yet apparently. I say bad in the sense of like handwriting, like the handwriting is not good, and I'm not seeing it right now. There it is right there. So this font right here is Instagram Pen, and they're going for this authentic thing, so they're making it really sloppy, and that's fine. I don't know, like I don't have big feelings about this. Like I said, Instagram is still the same brand in my brain, so the visuals mean very little, but I will be paying attention to see if they release like a big release, because when Instagram Sans came out, let's see if I can find a link for it. When Instagram Sans came out, they did put out like a big article about it and kind of showcased how it works and stuff like that. And some of these bends, like the bend on the T right here, perfectly matches up to the bend on the icon. And that kind of goes throughout the full font. So there's some cool stuff like that. And then they were doing these loops and stuff that that could tie into threads. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like a full article like this. But as far as the brand identity goes, yawn. It's fun for like a day or two to talk about, and I'll be looking forward to some people that actually dive into stuff. Like Ryan's going to go and Ryan Selvey's going to do look at all of the scrapped ideas. I think that's fun. But people just talking about the same thing over and over and over, that it reads like a Z instead of a, like this says Grasm or Gasm. Okay, and then all of the brands like redoing the same logo. Okay, like you're not adding anything to the conversation. It's fun. It's fun, I guess. Poke some fun at Instagram, but it really doesn't matter. Look forward to the type. The other stuff doesn't matter that much to me. Let's go into, I've got 2 upcoming events, and I've been pointing out, let me get a drink of water. I've been pointing out different ways to learn type design recently because I think anybody watching this channel might be considering learning type design if you don't already know. I myself am looking into many of these options. Letterform Archive, they have their own like Type West where it's like a full like postgraduate certificate or degree. I'm not sure if it's a degree. They're probably not. It's probably not actually a degree. Might be though. But they do these other courses and stuff. And one of the courses is Troughton's Intro to Modern Type Design. This is similar to what we've seen from, I think we saw one recently from, Alana Monroe with Arcane Type. She just started the Arcane Type Academy. That one's in person. That one's in Vancouver, Canada. This one is online via Zoom though. So Troughton does a lot of courses. I've seen him do courses, I think through Type Electives. I definitely know through Letterform Archive. But this is a 10 sessions, 3 hours each. It's not actually 10 weeks because I think they're skipping Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving. But it starts in early October, October 1st, and finishes December 10th. So by the end of the year, you could be a type designer. That's like a legitimate thing to consider. I know the price tag is, it's $1,000 or how much is this one? $1,090. That's not, chump change. But it is kind of exciting that you could think like, yeah, I could be like a type designer by the end of the year. You won't be a good type designer probably, but you could be a type designer by the end of the year. That's a really cool thing that could happen. So it's going to be on Thursday evenings, California time. And that's going to be running through fall to the end of the year. So that one's from Troughton, Letterform Archive. Letterform Archive getting 2 shout outs this week. Next up, we have a free event. So anybody that wants free events, this one is free. We got the scoop on this one early, but this is the Fall 2026 Virtual Lecture Series from Type Electives. This one's on Zoom as well. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. I've got this linked in the description as well. Flavia Zimbardi is the curator for this one, so she'll be kicking it off with the first lecture. Just a 1-hour lecture, going to be on Friday, September 4th. Like I said, you can get your tickets now. Let me go ahead and click on this so I can show you. It's free, but they do accept donations. So you can do a donation or you can just leave it at 0 and get your ticket for free. She's going to kick off this series. It's called, I think hers is called What If the Work is the Resistance? But shoot, let me see what the whole series is called. It might not necessarily matter, but it is going to be called, dang it. Yeah, I don't have it written down, but we reported on it in another episode. Regardless, the fall lecture series starts September 4th. It's free. Please just go get a ticket. I don't think you'll regret it. But even if you miss out on this, you don't see it live. Historically, Type Electives does publish these on their YouTube channel. I should have linked that in the description. I didn't. I will add it when I add chapters. Let's get into some new releases. This first one here is a future font, and it's not entirely new, but I'm going to cover it because it's still really freaking cool. Okay, let me close out some tabs. We'll get some proper chapters going. I appreciate you, those of here. I appreciate those of you watching live right now. I see you lurking. I appreciate it. Let me figure out where I want to start. Okay. We are going to start out on future fonts. Okay, our first new release this week is actually an update. It's going to be version 0.14 of Gimme, and Gimme is designed by Typearture, a combination of Typearture, and Adventure, so Typearture. You've probably seen this before. It's not brand new, but they did just, Arthur just did do a major update on this. I'm actually going to switch over to Instagram because, per usual, Instagram loads a little bit faster, and I can also read you this description right here as I'm clicking through. So Typearture made Gimme, and it is a probably the craziest font that's out there. I'm going to turn my face off so I don't block anything later on. Probably one of the craziest typefaces out there. It's a color font, and you can really type with this. This isn't like a vector where you got to like pick and choose the the pieces that you want to put together. This is the real typeface. I'm going to read you the description. Almost every style in Gimme has been retouched in this update, bringing crisper shadows and highlights and more definition everywhere. A few styles like Chugga and Battle Boats received variants. After 14 versions, Gimme is still going strong with more improvements already in the works. Check out the journal post below for more information. This is the journal post that they are talking about. I did not link this, but I linked the regular Future Fonts link, and then you can go down to the bottom and you can get you can go down to the bottom of this right here. You can go to the journal right here and you can get the link to that. But he goes through Typearture, tough one to say. Typearture goes through and details the things that he changed on this. And it's really cool. But you can really see the refinements in these. Let me see if I can zoom in even more. How big can I make this? There we go. So the top is V3, the bottom is V4. So each of these individual color fonts didn't release at the same time. So even though it's on version 14 right now, some of the fonts are on like version 3, version 4, and each one doesn't get an update every single time. But he went through and made all of the highlights and shadows and the 3D effects like more consistent throughout the entire typeface to try and bring all of these different crazy color fonts together. So added some real depth to these playing cards by folding them over, which is really cool because they're already folded on the top, but now you can see like the depth, the thickness of them being folded over. Same with like the casino poker chip there and stuff like that. So these are the type of refinements that they did this time. They did add a full new style to Chugga and Battle Boats, but these kind of refinements are really cool to see because if you don't know, on Future Fonts, you pay for the font and then you get, it's like a work in progress, a beta, and then you get all of these updates for free. So I can show you the price in a second. You can see the boats on the top were pretty flat, whereas the boats down here for Battle Boats have a lot more depth to them. So those are on version 6, version 7. Let me just show you a couple more. Oh, there's some close-ups right there. That would have been a nicer way to show you that. Lots more details, lots more highlights, lots more shadows. Chugga actually got this open track one. So you see the O on the bottom there. It's kind of like a track rather than the flat track there. But this is a really, really fun font. And you can see all the details and everything that's going into this. I can't even imagine how long this is taking. I think that he said been working on this for 7 years. Oh, look at those video game controllers. That looks really cool. So we could stop there. We don't need to go through all of it, but yeah, Gimme. This might be a chance to give this another look because it's consistently getting major improvements. The price tag matches, what you're getting from the font. You're getting, what did I write down on this one? You are getting, I think 11 or 12 different styles or 12 different fonts on here. It looks like, you can use it for desktop and web for that 180. And there is a trial, but the trial unfortunately is missing some critical characters, that being the E. I guess I could just show you this real quick. The color fonts do work in, let me switch over to my typography studio. Okay. The color fonts, so you can see you're missing the E's. So you couldn't really test this super well, but you could still get an idea of what it can do. I just only have one of them loaded up. This is Constructo. But you can get it in black and white expanded. You can get it in just this flat version. You can get it in expanded bright, or you can get it in pastel. The cool thing about using Affinity is that you can get these right inside of your type panel. These don't have to be like separate font files that you have to like go and click through. So you don't have like 4 different, like you can go through these styles over here, but you can do the color, how would you say this? You can do like the actual color in, you can choose the palettes as they're defined by the font rather than using styles. Unfortunately, though, you can't actually change the SVG colors. I'm not sure if these, so these are saying SVG. They're not like Color Pal, like CPAL. They're not color fonts like Color version 1 fonts. They're Color SVG fonts. I think that would be the next major upgrade that I would love to see. because it would be really cool if you could go in and pick like the red, the blue, the yellow, the pink, and change those colors yourself like you can with Nabla. Nabla is another font from Typearture that's really cool because you can go in and change all those fonts. And that looks really ugly when I'm looking at it right there. The last thing I'll show you on this is that the PDF is really worth checking out if you're going to look at Gimme. Whether you're going to get this typeface or not, even if you just want to go look at this for inspiration and see how crazy color fonts can get, they can get pretty freaking wild, and you can get a much better look at these. So this PDF is also available on the Future Fonts link. So this is not linked in the description, but it is on the Future Fonts link. Okay, let's move on. Oh, next up we have our sponsored segment. So I have talked about FontBase. I don't know, I guess for the last 6 weeks on here, FontBase has sponsored Typography News. And once again, they are sponsoring this episode. FontBase is a free font manager available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I have highlighted a number of different things that FontBase can do. Today, though, I'm going to show you the playground. Let me show you the playground right here. You can see it's basically kind of like a type tester. You can lay out your fonts, and it looks a little boring right now. That's because all of this is just set to the basic font. What you can do, though, is you can go here and select them in this part. That would be nice, but when you have 50,000 fonts like I do, you need a font manager, and that's why I have this. I have 50,000 fonts on here. Doing a drop down doesn't work too well for me. So what I do is I go into my fonts right here and I choose them. So let's just choose some from the collection today. We are going to be looking at, let's see, we're going to be looking at Partiche. Maybe Partiche would be a nice one. Let's do Partiche for the headlines. No, let's do Partiche for the body copy. So I'm going to set the variable one for this for font B, and I'm going to set Novaform. Let's go with one of these super heavy ones. No, let's go with something fun. Let's go for Parma Sans. I'll change these a couple times so you can see. Set this one at font A. So what I'm doing here is setting font A and font B on here. If you look on the left, it's actually setting up some CSS for you, but it's pretty cool because you can resize all your stuff here. You can mess with the variable fonts on here. Let's set up the weight and then make this a little smaller so we can get it on 2 lines. But you can go through and you can set up all of your headlines and things like that, and you can like really test out your fonts and see what they would look like in here. I mostly use this just to see if body copy is going to work with a font. So this font right here is called Partiche, and we're going to be talking about that later. It's a new release from Lipton Letter Design. This body copy here is what we're going to be looking at later. Actually, we're going to look at both these fonts, but I like to use it for this. I like to use it to see if the body copy is working, but it's a really nice way to just be able to check to see what fonts are going to look like as headlines and body copy, and you can copy the CSS right here. So I know what I created right here doesn't look beautiful, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm talking about. And if you have variable fonts, you really can play around with them quite a bit. Let's make this really big, obnoxiously big, so you can see what I'm talking about. You can do all of your variable fonts right in here, and then you can directly copy your CSS from that. So you don't have to pick like a very perfect style that's already built in. You can kind of, put these slants at crazy numbers or these different axes at very crazy numbers, and then just copy the CSS right from there. So this was FontBase, who sponsored the episode. It's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux, and you can download it for free with the link in the description. Next up, we've got 9 more new releases. Let me get a drink. Glad the camera's off because I just spilled a little water. Okay. Our second new release today is coming from Identity Letters, and it is Novaform. And this one is one that I'm absolutely doing a deep dive on in the future because I love all things 70s, and that's what this is. Novaform reimagines 1970s geometric type design. I'm going to read this whole thing. I apologize. Interlocking ligatures and tremendous X heights were hallmarks of photo typesetting era for display use only. By contrast, so that's what they're inspired by. By contrast, Novaform is more approachable and locks and reads well in body text. Across 10 weights, many stylistic sets, and a new unicase mode let you fine-tune its flashiness as you like. This is important right here. Save 50% up until September 30th. I'll go ahead and give you the pricing and stuff at the end, but 50% off on any font is huge. Well, let's go ahead and just get a vibe check. Let's go ahead and look at these for a second. See if I can zoom in on this a little bit more. And you can see it's very ITC avant-garde. It's very, you know, ITC avant-garde was inspired by Futura, Cabell, but this is that, but made for body copy. It's still got all the crazy ligatures. It's got the slanting, or they think they call them leaning letters. It's got all the leaning letters that you would expect as stylistic sets. It's got 39. They said 40. I counted 39 or 40 stylistic sets on this one. And you can do all the crazy headlines just like you could with ITC Avant-Garde. But now you can use this for body copy as well. There are a few things that kind of lean a little more neo-grotesque. But for the most part, it's still very, very geometric. If we look at this right here, you can see a lot of the OpenType features. There's extended Latin, 10 weights, italics on this one, unicase, really cool, leaning capitals, stylistic sets where we can change them from like a 2-story to 1-story. There are all kinds of things in here. Numbers, there's circled numbers, squared numbers, there's circled and squared arrows. I think this could be an incredible workhorse typeface. Let me go ahead and scroll. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I already have this in Affinity, so I'm going to show you this in Affinity super fast. I just had this in here because I was testing it out. You can see some stats right here. 20 total styles, 10 weights plus italics. It's fully variable. 839 glyphs, 39 OpenType features. You purchase it from the Foundry. I'm not sure why I have a star on there. Oh, I have a star on there because Identity Letters does have typefaces on Adobe fonts. This one's not on there yet, but I could see this being on there one day. Right now, the price tag is $199 for the full family on desktop, but with that Novaform 50 code that I mentioned that works until the end of September, you can get this for $99. Standard license. I have standard license with a star there. That's because the standard desktop license clearly states, which I love this, clearly states that it includes logos and social media. They're not going to nickel and dime you with this one. The thing I wanted to show you right here is how well the italics stand out compared to the uppercase, and I think, or the uppercase, the Romans. And I think this is really important when you're talking about a text typeface. Maybe for headlines and stuff like ITC Avant-Garde would have been used. It wouldn't matter too much. But with these right here, it really does. And I even have body copy here. I'm going to do a deep dive on this, so don't get too bogged down with this. But you can see I've already got one of the leaning letters right there. I've got the W on there. So this does have a limited trial license. I'm looking at the review license right now that Identity Letters sent me. So I'll be able to give you a really, really good look at this soon. But you can get the limited trial for free on the website, or you could pick this up for $99 for the full family. And I think with that variable, you're going to want the full family. But it looks great. It looks very purpose built, and it's got a real. It's got, you know, it's in that family tree of Futura and ITC Avant-Garde, and I love that. I love anything 70s. So I was pretty excited to see that there was basically like an ITC Avant-Garde that was now usable, because when I was in college, I tried to use ITC Avant-Garde so many times, and man, did I fail. I used it. Looking back on it, though, it doesn't look great. I think that Novaform from Identity Letters, though, does look pretty great. Next up, we've got one from SharpType. Let me see. Yeah, start out on Instagram with this one. We'll get a vibe check, and then we'll move over to the website. Let's see. Zoom in on this. It's 26 good reasons to use Redward. Redward is the new typeface from SharpType from Mark Rualt. I apologize, Mark, if I'm saying your name wrong. This is really cool. It is basically a reimagining of Bookman, ITC Bookman from Ed Bengat. And it looks really cool. They've done a great job with these specimens, and they've really set a vibe with it. You can see right here, there are 6 different weights, but there are actually 24 total styles, because there are, okay, let me try to say this slowly. There are 6 weights plus 6 italics, and then you double all of that because it actually comes in a monospace as well. And there's the monospace, which also has 6 weights plus italics. Crazy enough, this actually has a variable slider that lets you go through all of these. So you can use a variable slider or a variable axis for the weight, a variable axis for the italic, and a variable axis for the monospace. It's pretty freaking cool. That's what I'm gonna show you on the website. But I think the Instagram specimens that they put up here are really setting a vibe, and I think they've done a very nice job with these. So I thought I would show these off first. Everything here looks great. I'm not sure that I've seen a Bookman in mono before. Someone correct me if you have. But we're just gonna test this out real quick. I would love to do a deep dive on this one. I'm not sure if we're gonna get to, because my experience with review licenses with SharpType are a little hit or miss. But this right here, this animated craziness that's going on here, showing off the variable, you can actually pause this and you can edit this. So let's go ahead and pause all of these right here. I'm going to set these to like all regular-ish places. So set it at about 500 for the weight, set the slant to completely off, and then turn the monospace completely off as well. So here's our basic mono, or here is our basic Redward in proportional. You can get really, really thin with this one. Let me check. Oh, I don't have the thin versus black listed, but you can get really, really thin, and you can get really, really heavy. I think I'm mostly a fan of the heavy one, but that's really cool. The slant, it's not just a binary on or off, because you can see it does have true italics. I think that this is really interesting, and it's a really nice choice in my opinion. They take it to about 70% of the way there, so you can kind of slant the Roman, slant the Roman, slant the Roman. When you get to 70%, boom, it snaps over into full italics, and then you can actually slant those italics even a little bit more. So the slant between the italics is subtle right there, but you're still getting a little bit, and then you can really slant the Roman quite a bit. So that's kind of fun. Rather than just having like an on or off popping between these two, you can refine it and get a little bit of slant out of each of these if you want. If in reality, I'm probably either going to go full italic like this, or I'm going to go full Roman like that. I'm not one that plays around in this middle ground, but if you're animating it, I could see being able to stick with one or the other and animate those a little bit being a nice choice. Let's just go ahead and leave this on italic while we look at the monospace, because there's a slider for the mono as well. And you can see very, very nice interpolation. No popping here. You're seeing, goodness, Curtis, you're seeing the weight on this adjust as the spacing and the width adjust for the letters and stuff. So that's really cool to see. Let me go ahead and show you this in Roman as well, and then we'll move on. Very nice interpolation here. I don't know what the use case is for this. You know, I always kind of point that out, but I think animation's cool. And I think that just in general, only needing to upload one font. You can upload one font to your website and just have all of this work. That's pretty freaking cool. And I really do love this, the super heavyweight. I think monos, you know, I feel like the monos, I don't know, heavy monospace just kind of throws me off. I'm so used to the typewriter vibe. I got to go thin if I'm going monospace, and that looks the best to me. But having the options is always a great thing. So this is Redward and Redward Mono from SharpType. Next up, we've got one from Brutal Types. Always a fan of Brutal Types on the channel. Let me close out some of these tabs. Brutal Types, this is Kring from Ramiro Espinoza. Per usual, he's usually the one releasing and designing these. I like this one for a couple of reasons. One, it's Art Deco Geosans, but it's not using full circles for like the glyphs. Typically, when you're seeing Art Deco and you're seeing this kind of vibe, the O's, the Q's, the C's, the D's, sometimes the D's are smaller like this. The Q's for sure are always like perfect circles, or at least optically perfect circles. This is really going the opposite direction and doing these football sort of shapes here, which I think is pretty fun. Definitely differentiates itself from other other geometric sans like this. The other thing I think is really cool is how high and how low some of the wastes are on these letters. Once again, I'm going to switch over to Affinity real quick because I do have a review license of this one from Brutal Types. Ramiro sent this over to me. I guess I gave you some stats. Just one style on this one, static, 245 glyphs, 3 open type features, and I misspelled Foundry right here. Let's fix that. Limited trial on this one, 50 euros, and standard license. What I wanted to show you though is how high and how low the I'm going to call it the waist. Maybe I'm wrong, but the crossbar on the A versus the two bowls on the B, like look how low the A is. They're really maxing out how low that can get before it just turns into a triangle. And then with the B, you're really maxing that out before you start getting into like legibility issues with the D. Same with the E and the F. Those are super, super high. The H is super high. The K is super high. This is probably your biggest question mark. Like I think the H and the K, in context, maybe you'll be okay, but that's the biggest probably legibility one. But the thing to remember is that this is based off of a real lettering. So I do appreciate that they stuck to the source material and really do the homage right on this one, and also kind of immortalize this, at least in digital, for a few years, because it could be something that was just lost to time. You can see really sharp apexes and vertexes on there. But you can see, once again, the P really, really low. Maybe that could run you into trouble with the D, but the R, once again, really low. And I think that's going to be fun to see the contrast between these ones that are really high and the ones that are really low. So you get kind of a fun rhythm out of that. My other favorite thing is this ampersand. Look how wild this thing is. Everything else is kind of narrow, but then you're really spacing things out with that ampersand. So I could see that being really fun to pair up a couple of words that are pretty narrow and then throw that big ampersand in the mix there. That is Kring from Brutal Types. Let me see what we got next. Ooh, this is the big one next. Gonna pull up two websites here. What number are we on? I think we're on 5. We're halfway through with this one. Our 5th new release today is coming from Lipton Letter Design, and it is Partiche. I think I'm saying that right, because this is a made-up word, as far as I understand, Partiche. I'm not sure if it means it's a combination of pastiche and part, like part pastiche, but Partiche from Lipton Letter Designs, and there are 5 fonts on this one. Just gonna get a vibe check on this one. It's pretty big right now, so I'm just gonna let this go through. Give you a vibe check on it. You can see what's going on. Big wedge serifs on this. Let me give you a description. I know I've got it written. Oh, I linked it right here. Okay. Maybe what we can do is tile these so I can read this and you can look at something nice right here. Partiche is an expressive sans serif inspired. See if we can do it like this. Inspired by the playful graphic sensibility of Seymour Chwast? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this individual. Sharpened by Richard Lipton's distinct calligraphic eye, wedge-shaped terminals, sculptural spurs, and quietly unexpected details animate a geometric framework that feels monolinear at a distance but rewards closer attention. Yeah, it does feel very, it feels like there's almost no contrast in it. Readable and typographically well appointed with small caps, love that, and a purposeful set of alternates. Partiche carries enough character for book design, editorial spreads, and brand work alike. This is the one that we looked at in FontBase earlier when we were looking at the playground. I set this in body copy right here because I wanted to see, like, could you really use this in body copy? I think you could, but I do have a caveat for that. I think you probably wouldn't want to use the heaviest weight on it. So let me show you the body copy and we'll come back up to that. This right here, the body copy that I've got, I've actually set this in light. So it comes in 5 different weights. It comes in, go ahead and let's do it up here on this one. It is variable, so we can go ahead and do this. It goes from thin all the way up to black, but I feel like the regular, it's in the middle, but it feels a little bit heavy for body copy. I could switch this for you super quick. Actually, you know what? In FontBase, this right here is regular already, so that right there is already regular. But I could make it on here. I could do it on here too, just to make it a little bit bigger. If we set this to regular, that just feels a little bit heavy to me for body copy. And I feel like light is just that's the perfect spot right there for me. Look at the small caps though, fitting in perfectly. I love the wedges on this one. There's something so fun about these because it's not like everything has a serif on it. You know, there's not like a serif on the bottom of this T. But you're getting the diagonals on the top of the T, and you're getting all of these interesting little wedges just kind of stuck on and in places where, like, if you ever practice calligraphy, you know how like a calligraphic eye would start, and that's where you would start it there, and then you pull it down. So the wedges are kind of following, you know, a tradition. But look at these small caps; those look so much fun. I'm I love that. I love when a font has small caps, and that definitely does make it feel a little bit better for body copy if you're trying to sell that to me. You can see it's got the ets. I've been practice saying this. I think I've been saying it wrong. I've been saying etset. I believe it's est set. You can see they've got the uppercase, the small cap, and the lowercase. Love to see it. What I also love to see is when a font includes a small cap ampersand. That is perfect, because otherwise, how do you put a small cap between, or how do you put an ampersand between small caps? Maybe that's not their intended use, but you guys know me. I use it on my thumbnails. I love small caps. They just feel different. They just hit different. Partiche, I didn't give you any stats, did I? It's variable, 691 glyphs, 18 open type features. You can get this from the Foundry or the Typographer app. No trial on this one, and that's one of the reasons why I mentioned Typographer app. Look at that in just a second. 137 for the family on desktop, and I put standard minus. I'm ranking them now. Standard minus. They get a minus because the web and the app licenses are annual renewals. So love the type founders, love this typeface, but don't love that part of the license. Desktop license is normal though. Reason I bring up Typographer app, because there is no trial, but there's a really nice way to test these out on their website. So I do think I link this in the description as well, but you can go through the different weights here. You can even do the variable. And then you can also set this. If you get the one line, it's just going to give you like a small 1 or 2 words. If you do multiple lines, it gives you like a pangram-ish type of thing. And if you do 3 lines, multiple lines, you get body copy. So I think this is a great way to test this one out. And actually regular looks fine here. I wonder what's going on there. Oh, because I've got my weight down to, because I chose the variable, and then I've got the weight down all the way at the smallest, or the lightest. So you can get really heavy, and I think that would be great for headlines. Like that's got some real heft and impact to it, and those big wedges stand out. I'd love to see this in all caps actually. And then at the lighter weights, you know, I think that you can get some real body copy out of that. So I don't think they're wrong. The one thing that's holding this back in my mind is italics. If I'm going to use something for body copy, I got to have italics. I know there are ways around it, but that would be the next thing that I would love to see Partiche do. I know italics take time, and I know Lipton letter design is probably going to do some, if they were going to do italics for this, they would be true italics, so you're essentially designing a whole nother typeface. But it looks really great right now, all on its own. So this is Partiche from Lipton Letter Design. You can get it from the Foundry, or you can go grab this from the Typographer app. Oh, this is the Typographer app. Here is the Foundry website. Next up, we've got one from the Foundry that I'm not sure how to say. It's either Metis Foundry or Metis Foundry. When I looked it up on dictionary.com, it said Metis, so maybe we'll go with Metis. I do know they're Australian, or at least the other studio is Australian. Okay, this is MF Parma Sands. I love that their Foundry initials are MF, because you do some really fun stuff. That MF Parma Sands from Metis Foundry. This at first glance seems like another dot, you know, pixels turn into dots typeface. I promise it's so much more than that. I would not waste your time. Let me see where I want to. Let's just do a scroll through this and do a vibe check, because they've got some nice specimens here. Just going to scroll through this like this. You can already see it's doing more than meets the eye. And this is the one that we were using for the headlines and looking through the variable axes that you could set up in FontBase. So this is the one we were looking at there. So you already know this one has 3 different variable axes. This is the thing that's interesting. See this hand going back and forth? Where's the description at? I missed it, I guess. Here's the most important part. Every character is built from nodes that sit on a horizontal rails rather than a fixed grid. So that's going to be the difference between this and like a pixel grid but turned into circles font. A node can land almost anywhere along its rail, the same logic as an abacus. Free movement on one axis, fixed on the other. So it can't move up or down, but it can move left and right. So when you're seeing this hand move right here, that's what they're talking about. And the reason that matters is because when you get into some of these lowercase and stuff, it really gives the font how would you say this? It doesn't give it such a strict feel. I'm not sure if I'm saying that the way that I want to. Let me pull this up in Affinity and I'll be able to show you this much better. My brain will work if I can show you a visual at the same time. Let's see if we can find it here. MF Parma. So what I'm saying is these are on a grid from top to bottom. So you can see there are only 5 different dots here. I think 5 is as tall as they go. They go 1 down, so a total of 6 dots. But they don't line up horizontally. So they can move left and right as much as they want, but they just don't move up and down. And that lets you make these characters just a little bit nicer. You can kind of curve things a little bit. You can finesse them a little bit. So like with this E, it's not having to like sit in the same lines as these other ones. I think that's one thing that makes this just look a little bit nicer on its own. I like that. You can even see these here, they're intersecting. Like they don't have to like stay separate. They can overlap. But at the lower weights, let's check weights first. Let's check all these axes. Let's zoom in just on this right here. And I will show you there's 3 different axes on this. There's weight. You can get super light. None of them are going to overlap at this lightweight. I don't think. Let's check the M. Nope. None of them are going to overlap at this super lightweight. You're going to definitely need to space these out though, because who can read this right now? But you can do the weight, and you can take it all the way up to where everything's overlapping, and it's much more legible, and it's very, very puffy, like some melted marshmallows together or something like that. I'm going to take this back down to like 500 though. You can do the stress. So not only can you, oops, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. Let me set this back to normal. You can do the slant. Not only can you lean this forward for italics, you can actually lean this backward for a back slant. So slanted or back slanted, either one. Very, very, very nice. Let me get this back to 500, and then we're going to play around with this a little bit. And the most fun thing, the thing that sets this apart from all the other dot matrix style fonts is the stress. You can stress the top or you can stress the base. And this is just crying out to be animated. No, I'm trying to decide. Let's just play around with it super fast. 2 seconds, we're gonna do this. Player.motionfonts.info. Let me pull up the fonts, bear with me. I have these organized well, but I didn't have it prepared. This is GD Foundry, MF, MF Parma Sans, TTF, and we're dropping it in. This website right now is called motionfonts.info, and I don't have to do anything right now. I could yo-yo some of these. Let's yo-yo all of them real quick. And you could see how much fun you could have animating this. It is just absolutely dying to be animated. And you don't have to do the slant and stuff with it. You know, like you could pause the slant on it and just animate the up and down. You could animate any of these variable axes you want, but I think this could be really, really fun. Add some color, do some wacky things with it. And let me just show you the GD Foundry Instagram so I can just nail this point home. Type for designers who want to make something strange. I love that slogan, and you can see if you look through their Foundry Instagram and see some of their other fonts, they are always doing some really interesting, really crazy things. And I think that you will not regret downloading the free trial of this, because it is a full, oops, I don't have it written on there. It is a full free trial that you can download, and you can play around with this, and you can literally do everything I'm doing right now. This is a lie. It's not a review license. This is the full font trial that I downloaded from this webpage that's linked in the description right now. You can do trials. You get every single one of their fonts, full characters, kerning included. You get it all. Just got to give them your email. You don't even have to sign up for the newsletter, but you can get it all. There is an interesting license on this one though. So let me show you this. I don't have strong feelings about it one way or the other, but it is kind of interesting. If I can find the buy button, they're doing physical and digital license. I do like that they're doing a fair price adjustment. So you can see I'm in Brazil right now. I'm American living in Brazil, if you're new to the channel. But they have, fair price adjustments. So the price in the US is about $75 US. The price in Brazil is about $35 US. That's converted from Australian dollars. They've got Australian dollars over here since this is an Australian foundry. What we're looking at though is the physical and digital. I don't know how I feel about this because with a desktop license, you can do physical and digital. I can make something and then post it on Instagram without having to buy a web font. With this one, you got to choose if you're doing physical, you want to print stuff. You're doing digital, you want to put stuff on the screen. I think most people would be fine with the digital, and probably most people would actually prefer this setup because you could do digital, post it on Instagram, post it on YouTube, post it on your website because you're probably going to get a web font. So I do think this is really going to benefit some people, but if you're used to that typical desktop license, buying digital, you could make a logo, but you're only allowed to put it on the internet, I think. I don't know, check the EULA. But I did think that this was interesting and worth pointing out. Anytime there's a non-standard license, I feel like it's worth pointing out just so that you're aware of at least going and checking the EULA before you get one of these fonts. But MF MF Parma Sans from GD Foundry is super cool. It's got a free full trial. Go download it. Check out the font. I do not think you'll be disappointed. I'm going to go through this next one a little quick because it's new, but it's also kind of an update. This is not loading. Let's give it a second. You know what? We will skip this one and come back to it. The chapters are going to be a little out of order, but we'll wait and see if commercial type loads in the background. Oh, we got one. We got two. Okay, just kidding. We'll start the chapter right now. Those of you watching live get to see that this is live. Our 8th new release today is from Commercial Type, and it is the new Doric collection. And this is an absolute monster of a font with a little bit of a monster of a price tag on it. $1,300 for the full family on this one. But it is huge. I think if you were a brand that got this font, you're not going to need another font for anything. 84 styles on this one. Let's just go ahead and scroll through. I'll give you a vibe check, and then I'm going to show you where the roots are with this one. You can see it's variable. There are two different variable files on this one. There is italic and there is Roman, so you are going to have separate ones for those. I don't think there's a combined because it looks like you can buy them separate, but it's possible there is one variable font to do it all. 84 total styles on this one. 7 weights plus italics, thin to black, so you can see the weights right there. Plus italics right there. So that gives you 14, but there are 6 different widths on this. It's going from extra condensed all the way up to extended. So I'm going to go through these, at this speed because it looks like some of them aren't loading in too well, unfortunately. Okay, well, just trust me. Do I have a PDF specimen for this one? No, I apologize, I don't. You can see the weights or the widths right here though with these 2 variables. So I think that's probably good enough for this. What I think is more interesting about this is the roots. So this is one monster variable font with 84 different styles on it. Like I said, 6 widths, 7 weights, plus italics. Just crazy how versatile this would be. This is coming from, though, Klasselotteriet Doric, which is a typeface I wasn't really familiar with, which was a revival of Doric from the Klasselotteriet Foundry. They had all of these different styles of physical metal type that were called Doric. There were these sans serifs developed by Klasselotteriet. And there was a huge article right here, so I apologize. I'm not going to do it justice at all. But you can see the original inspirations here. And it's a really cool concept because the Klasselotteriet Doric collection actually pays, I don't know if I want to say better homage. It pays more historically correct homage to Klasselotteriet Doric, because at the different optical sizes, they're actually designing them as they were originally. So they're not going to be a perfect linear transition like these here. And I'm sure that these aren't perfectly linear transitions either. But I do think you're going to get a lot more character out of Klasselotteriet Doric, the original, but these are all going to be static because each of the different sizes and stuff like that, or the different styles are going to be completely different because they are more accurate to the historical typefaces. So I think this entire thing is just a giant seed. Like this points me in a direction that I do not have time to cover in one episode or in like a 5-minute segment. But check out both of these. I think I linked this article right here in the description, this Castellan Doric. I believe this came out in 2019. Yeah, I think it came out in 2019. But the new one right here, yeah, it says right here. Following the launch of the commercial classics in 2019, Paul Barnes gave a talk called The Past is the Present. Afterwards, a member of the audience asked him whether Castellan Doric would ever be made into a variable font, and at the time said no because the weights had been cut at different times, and the digital versions were meant to preserve those inconsistencies. Gosh, I could have just read this right here. They're doing a much more concise job. So previously, 7 years ago, it was thought that this would be impossible because the different weights were historically accurate to the different, metallic lead type cuts. But 7 years later, found a way to do this and turn it into that absolute monster that I keep repeating myself. But I don't know how else to describe a font with 84 styles built into it. $1,300 for this full family with 84 styles, 7 weights, plus italics, plus 6 widths. And the variable on that, it's just going to be crazy because you're going to be able to upload 1 or 2 different fonts to a website and do everything. I don't know if you'd want to. I'm not sure how big that's going to be, but it's really cool that you could. Yeah, standard license on this one. Everything's just going to be a perpetual desktop, web, or app. And we've got two more new releases to get into today. Check chat. Okay, I appreciate everyone lurking. This one's really fun. Look at this crazy freaking head right here. Actually, let's pull up the Instagram because, I've got the PDF too. Pull up the Instagram because they've got a really fun animation here. I don't know if I would cover this one if it weren't for this specimen right here. And this is why specimens are so important, because if a font's bad and a specimen grabs your attention, you'll pay attention to it for a second, but then you won't really worry about the font. But if a font is great and the specimen is bad, you never give it, people are much less likely to pay attention to it long enough to see whether it's good or not. I don't know. Like they say, we're in the attention economy. I'm going to get a drink of water and start this one proper. This 9th new release is coming from F37 Foundry, and it is Slabhead. As you can see, this is a very slabby head right here. This does have a little bit of a backstory relating to a World Cup soccer player that I don't remember. But it's a nickname for someone. This little guy right here, though, his name is Chad, and he definitely drew my attention when I was scrolling through the new releases on Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a vibe check on Instagram real quick, and I'll give you some details while we're looking through this. You can see right here, 6 weights plus italic. It goes from regular to black. I like that. I like that they kind of stopped it at regular because that does feel, I don't know. Sometimes geometric slab serifs, when they get too thin, they feel really weak. And I'm not sure what the use case is. So rather than give people something that might not work, I like that they really kind of defined what this typeface is. And it's either regular and it goes up to black. It's always going to be nice and sturdy. And I think that's appropriate for a slab. It is variable with 2 axes. There's weight, and then it has italic as well, but the italic is binary. One of the big things that stands out with this one are the teardrop terminals. And they said that kind of makes it a little more, softens it up a little bit and makes it a little bit more approachable. But you could see there's quite a bit of attention to detail on this one. You can see, like I said, the teardrop terminals on it are nice, but look at the asterisk. The asterisk is almost like, feels almost three-dimensional, if I can say my words right. The arrow has ink traps built into it. So at small sizes, this arrow wouldn't just turn into a blob. Love to see it. And it just seems really fun. I don't know that this is going to be necessarily better than any other, geometric slab serif. And I'll get to why I point that out right now in a second. Actually, I'll just spoil it. I'll say it now. It's because the license on this one, gosh, I hesitate to say this, but I'll be subjective. That's what this channel is. Objective facts and subjective opinions. I think the license on this one sucks. The desktop license is £325 for desktop for these 6 weights plus italics, so 12 total styles. That's fine, but the license breaks out social, logo, and branding. I don't know what the difference is between branding and the logo. Maybe they're not even going to let you use it for your brand voice. But let me stretch this out. But I just don't. I just that's frustrating to me. And I know I want founders to get paid. Please, I want you guys to get paid. But at the same time, it's just such a headache to deal with licenses like that. Typeface though, it looks really, really fun. And I'm stopped here on the F37.com webpage because I think this is one of the best testers that I've ever seen. First of all, you can move this around however you want. Obviously, you can double click this and change it to something nicer, like subscribed objectives. Go ahead and do that, please. You can do that. You can change your weights and stuff like that. But the coolest thing is, let's say, I don't know, let's say I want to make this super tight. I can do Alt or Option and arrow and kern this exactly like I would in Illustrator or InDesign or my favorite app, Affinity. And it actually tells you the kerning over here on the left. So you could spread it all out. Wait, maybe you can't spread it all out. Let's see. You could track it out. Boom. Yeah, tracking. Duh, of course you couldn't kern it. And then the kerning is set to auto. They do let you kern it, even though that technically would be tracking, right? Anyway, I just think you can do a lot more here. This one has the variable axes on it, so you can do the weight. Nice and smooth. That's actually really smooth. Let me fix this. It's actually really smooth. Let me see if I can do my hex. Ooh, I can. Let's just get full self-promotional right now. 00 AD 4C. Boom. Love to see it. Let's get this one white. Perfect. But no, this is really is a nice tester. You can move it around and do these different things, and the variable is super smooth. Let me show the italic real quick because I did say this was binary. If you slide it over, it just goes from 0 to 1. So there is a variable axis. I don't hate that because then you still only have one font file. So even though it's kind of, it feels like at first glance, it's kind of like, okay, what's the point of that? Just give me like an italic font and a Roman font at this point because I can't actually slide between these. But only having one font file to deal with is still a positive. And then you can still do your nice interpolation there. That's really smooth. I like how they're handling the weight on this one. I feel like it's working well. There's not a lot of contrast. You keep the teardrops. It looks really, really nice. And I think that this mascot here is really, really fun. He definitely grabbed my attention. I don't think we need to go through the PDF. I was going to show you this one. Oh, you know what? I wanted to show you this just for the body copy. I don't think it works great in body copy, but I think it's passable in body copy. Have to go all the way up to the top because you're only going to get your regular. Let's spread this out as big as we can. There we go. So this is going to be the regular weight right here. I think you could get away with a paragraph or two in this. I don't think you're going to write a book in this. Maybe spread this. Increase your leading, your line spacing a little bit on this body copy, and I think you can pull this off for a little bit of body copy. And the italics look nice. You're going to definitely differentiate between the italics and the Roman, as we saw up here. These they differentiate well enough, especially some of the italics have true italics on it, putting teardrops in different places. So Slabhead, a really, really fun one from F37 Foundry. Don't love the license, do love the marketing, and the typeface is pretty good. Seems pretty good, at least at first glance. Limited trial on it, so I couldn't test it out to its full potential, but it's got a lot going on. 820 glyphs on that one, 2 variable axes. One of them is binary, but that's okay. 12 styles. It's going to be 6 weights plus italics. Let's get on to our last one here, going in the complete opposite direction. And it is going all the way back to the Trajan columns. This is GD Trio by GD Foundry. And they are essentially reimagining what Trajan could be. They're going back to the source material, but they're actually going even further back than that. And they're looking at some other, shoot, I don't want to say it wrong. Let me check. They're looking at they are looking, let me just say it like this. They're looking at more specimens and not more specimens, more references than just Trajan's column. So they're not being, puritanical about only pulling the typography from the Trajan column. They're actually pulling it from other references from that same time period and then turning it into a usable typeface for today. So I absolutely want to do a deep dive on this one. There's only a limited trial, so it's going to depend whether or not they give me a review license, but I will request one this week and we'll see what happens. I'm going to scroll through this, give you a vibe check. You can see over there on the left, there are 7 weights, light to black, no italics on this one yet. That's one thing, Trajan does have italics. Trajan has 6 weights plus italics. It also has sans plus italics. But GD Trio here, new release, 7 weights, going from light up to black, and it is variable. Let me get a drink. and we'll get a vibe check. It's going to feel pretty familiar. You know, they're drawing from the same source material as Trajan, but I do think this will be an interesting one to put head to head. Trajan's on its third version right now. You know, Trajan 3 is what's on Adobe fonts. It started in started in 1989 with Adobe. And love the ampersand on this one. I think they're doing some really cool stuff. And I think one thing that might set this one apart are some of these ligatures. So you can see over here on the left, they're doing the double L ligature. I'm not sure all the features and stuff on this one yet. What's it say here? It says 514 glyphs on this one, 7 weights, variable. But I'm not sure about all the open type features. I'm assuming it's going to have quite a few based on the ligatures and things that they're showing us here. There are some really, really fun ones. You know, most of these are going to be pretty contextual. You know, you're not going to be able to use them every day, but when you can use them, I think it's going to be really fun. And this right here gets us to the point of NGLM, which this was originally designed for. Let me pull this up. This was originally designed for NGLM group, and it only existed in the medium weight, I'm pretty sure. So this existed for this branding. Go ahead and scroll through this, give you a quick brand check or vibe check on this. This is how they were putting their medium weight to use. But like I said, there are now 7 weights on this, light all the way up to black. And this was from 2025, I believe. So previously, this was a custom font for NGLM. I'm not always a fan of using someone else's custom font, but in this case, 100% disregard that. I'm a fan of this one. It expanded, you know, by 6 weights. It turned into a variable. There's so much more going on than just this. And, you know, plenty of people have already used Trajan. So I think this could be a nice alternative to Trajan. It looks really, really classy, and it's nice to see someone already putting it to use for a year. So it's had someone else, you know, beta test this for you. But you can see it in body copy. Looks nice. The lowercase looks really nice. Nice tall X height on that. Love to see it. And it just looks really clean. Really, really clean. I already said 514 glyphs on this one. Don't have all the features. Price tag on this one, $269 for the full family on not just desktop. Let me go ahead and, I almost said desktop. I almost said it. But let me show you. I think I put this in Affinity. I think. There it is right here. Not just on desktop. So the 269 is the full family everywhere. GD Foundry has one of the best licenses that there are. We've seen a few other foundries with a license similar to this, but the GD license is one license, all uses, no nonsense. This is their marketing. Licensing is usually a mess. We cleaned it up. One license, web, app, desktop, done. Those are all combined. Priced by company size, not by how many people click a button. That's a little jab at ads and Anza web fonts and stuff like that. No visitor math, no logo police, no nonsense. So that 269 gets you the entire family everywhere. This becomes incredibly appealing when you learn that, in my opinion. This is a crazy looking typeface. I love that someone's putting out like a real competitor to Trajan. And it just seems really, really nice. Obviously, this is a first impression. I can't give a real deep dive review on it, but I'm going to reach out and hopefully we will be able to do that in the coming weeks. This was GD Trio from GD Foundry. And with that, I am going to turn my face on. And we've got a couple of things left. Don't leave yet, but I'm going to turn my tiny Curtis face on. There I am. Hello, hello. I could probably make myself a teeny bit bigger. I have 2 more stories for you, and they are the videos to send you off with. So if you didn't get enough typography already, I've got 2 videos to send you off with. That's not the link I wanted to click. I wanted to click this one because I didn't want this one to start playing. Okay, we got it paused. This first video to send you off with, can I zoom in? Oh, I'm holding shift instead. Is coming from the Right Aligned Academy. It's a great YouTube channel, almost 10,000 subscribers. Go subscribe over there and push them over the edge. But they do a lot of branding content, and you can see behind the brand. What actually drew me to them was the rebrand for Affinity. I'm not sure if it's on here, where it's at. It's somewhere on here. They did an interview with the Foundry, the studio that rebranded Affinity, and kind of talked about some of that. But recently, just 4 days ago, Dalton Maag went on there. One of the creative directors, Eleni, I apologize, Eleni. Oops, there she is right there. I'm going to mute this, and I'm just going to scroll through a few different things. Creative director from Dalton Maag went through and talked about the Foundry, and I thought it was really insightful. It was really well presented without sounding like a marketing pitch or like a really scripted thing. And you can see on the bottom here, she goes through their whole like design process, and it's really cool to see. I did not know that Dalton Maag was the largest independent type foundry. They have 50 type designers in-house, and they don't work with freelancers. It was really cool. She kind of did an introduction with how type designers get introduced and start out at Dalton Maag. It's really, really cool. And then she went through designing a whole typeface. So she goes through the entire process from the beginning to the end. It's really fun to watch. How long is this? 36 minutes. 36 minutes, well spent, I promise. It's really well structured, really well timed, and even though it is scripted, it doesn't feel scripted. It feels very natural, and it doesn't feel super markety. Some foundries, I'm not going to name any names, some foundries are super awkward on camera, unfortunately for them. But this one, Dalton Maag, not one of them. Great presentation. So I would definitely check that one out, add it to your watch later. The other one is the one that I said, 581 videos. It's nice that announced this week a new platform for Nicer Tuesdays. And my first thought was, oh no, they're going to start charging for all of the videos that they already upload to YouTube. Not the case. They have made this so much better that I don't think that I would watch their talks on YouTube anymore. If I see them on YouTube, I would come and, it's hard to say because I pay for premium, so I don't see ads anyway. But if I was someone that didn't pay for YouTube Premium, I would go to this website and look at them because you can watch the videos ad-free. Not only that, so they've got the new releases, the most watched ones. If you click on View All, great filters on here. You can filter by city, London, Los Angeles, New York, online. You can filter by discipline. So they've got fashion, editorial, typography. Definitely click on typography there. They've got filters by theme. So they've got AI and failure and craft and collaboration and storytelling and all kinds of stuff. And they have the years on here. Best of all, you could just search this. I don't know. Let's search for Draplin because he's probably done one. No, he hasn't. Wait, let's turn off typography. No, he never has. Okay. 581 other talks on here. Kelly Anderson, we've talked about her on the channel before, but let me just show you. You can click play and then you can just watch the freaking video. Like there's no nonsense at all. Love to see it. It gives you a lot of details. And you can scroll down and you can even read the transcript. So I think this is a great independent video platform. And just a great way to watch these Nicer Tuesdays. I don't know that, I mean, hopefully this stays exactly as it is or gets better. Hopefully there's no enshittification, but rather than being completely tethered to other platforms, I think this is, when people can afford to do this, I think this is the way to do it and make it better than YouTube, because being able to filter all these different things is just incredible. Yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about this because I was expecting the worst. I thought it was going to be some paid thing, but it's not. They do have, if you go to just nicertuesdays.it's nice that they do have, the ability to purchase upcoming tickets and stuff like that. Zero problem with that. Love to see it. It just keeps everything all in one place. So it's really, really cool. And like I said, 581 talks on here. You can go through and filter, and it's so much better than going to like Nicer Tuesdays like this on here and trying to see. There's a Nicer Tuesdays playlist right here, and let me go back, full playlist. And you're going to be scrolling through these. There's only 45 videos on here. They probably quit. Oh, these are 2025. So they've got them filtered like that. But like going through like this, or just searching for it, and then if you're not paying for premium, then dealing with the ads and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm really shocked at how great this is. So give their flowers where they're due. Didn't like the advertorial earlier. It's nice that, but Nicer Tuesdays, this platform is amazing. So shout out to them. And with that, we are going to get out of here. Like I said, no deep dive today because we're going to start spinning off the deep dives. They're going to get their own standalone videos, and I think that's going to be really nice for the people that want them. The people that don't, I think it keeps typography news a little bit more concise. I can talk about a few more new releases. Like this week, we got to do 10 instead of like 5 or 6. I got to give each one a little bit more love, and it's just going to make everything a little bit nicer. Do I have the bandwidth for it? Let's hope so. But I do think so. I think it's going to be better all around. I'm going to be able to do deep dives on fonts that aren't just only new releases. Definitely doing Rotina, definitely doing Mona Lisa, definitely doing Onja Studio's new release. Definitely doing all the ones that I was planning on doing before, but just doing more and doing them better. So something positive to look forward to, and I think there's a lot going on positive in the type scene. So as always, I am bullish on typography, and I'll keep reporting on it if you guys keep showing up. So I've been Curtis Simpson. Thank you for hanging out with me. This was Typography News number 67. I will see you guys next week. Have a good week. Bye.